Hello, my name is Matthew, and we're reading the Karamazov Brothers by Dostoevsky for our December read-along. And I thought I would just take a moment to talk about part one, give a little bit of a summary, and share some of my thoughts specifically on character development. In the beginning of the novel, we have a lot of introductions. At first, we meet the father, Theodore Karamazov, who is lascivious and debaucherous and vile. We have Dmitri, the oldest son, who is hot-headed and quick-tempered. The middle son, Ivan, who is intellectual and mysterious and an atheist. And Alyosha, the youngest, who is innocent and religious. We also meet his mentor, the elder monk from the monastery, Father Zosima. And then also the families, or the father's servants, Gregory and his wife, and the child that they've brought into the family, most likely the son of Theodore, the father, Smerdakov. And we learn all about their backstory, how they've grown up, the family tensions, things behind the scenes, and we spent a lot of time focusing on the relationship and the trouble between Dmitri, the oldest, and Theodore, and their financial and family dispute, which they bring to the monastery for Father Zosima to reconcile or listen to them. And it's a complete fiasco. After that, the family parts. Ivan and Theodore go back to the house with the servants and begin drinking for the night. Alyosha starts going off on these errands for Dmitri. And Dmitri tells Alyosha his backstory, the history of how he met his fiancée and then this other woman, and the money trouble and confusion that they are having. Alyosha also spends time at the deathbed of Father Zosima. We learned that he is much older and much weaker and sicker than we initially thought. All of this is going on, and it's building up to the story that is to come. But there are many surprising character traits that seem to contradict or make us question all of the characters that we have now been thoroughly introduced to. So Dmitri, while he is telling Alyosha this shameful and shallow story of his love life and how he had been running around town, spending money, being with girls, doing all of these terrible things, and how he met these women, and all of that. While he's telling Alyosha this, he's quoting poetry. He's reciting lines from plays. The Robbers by Friedrich Schiller. And so we have this guy who seems to want to spend all of his time carousing and hanging out with the guys and spending nights with the girls. And we learn he's a poetry reader. He's spending time reading literature, which seems to not match exactly what we first expect of him. He's much smarter and much more astute than we first would have given him credit for. Ivan is mixed up in this because has a passion or a love or a crush for one of these women. And so this mysterious, cool, calculating atheist is also a young man who has his own passions. Father Zosima at one point admonishes Ivan for not believing the things that he says, which also really brings home the fact that he is a young man. He's just someone saying things to maybe get a rise. Theodore, the father, who's been nothing but evil, neglectful, when he learns that Smerdyakov, as a young boy growing up, has epilepsy, he has a rare moment of tenderness where he brings him from the outhouse, the quarters in which the servants reside. He wants him to be Smerdyakov in the house so he can give at least moments, small bits of care or tenderness to. Father Zosima, at first we understand that he's universally respected, but within the monastery there are whispers of doubt. Maybe he's too extreme, maybe he's too old-fashioned, maybe he's too eccentric. And then we have Alyosha, who is the youngest and quite often is referred to as naive but patient. All of these things are going on, and one of the people that he loves the most and respects, Father Zosima, who is now on his deathbed, he's dying, is off dealing with these outrageous and relative trivial family and financial matters. He's listening to Dmitri tell his jokes and acting juvenile. He's going off to talk with these women to send messages. He's at his father's house while his father Theodore is getting drunk and being outrageous and being a fool and a buffoon, and all the while completely measured in tone and demeanor. And so each one of these characters has been given additional characteristics that slightly contradict the first big impression that we are given to them. And it's also adding to the story that we're being told. It's built in to the narrative that there is violence coming. There's a murder ever looming throughout this story, and we're getting doubt. We're getting questionable behavior from each one of these characters. They're not just monoliths moving peg by peg. Instead, they are these rounded characters where the conversations that they are having is all building up towards something yet to come. That's most of my thoughts on part one, on how totally fleshed out and interesting and surprising all of these characters are and can be. And hidden on each one of these nooks and crannies of their personality traits, we have all of that tension building. There's intrigue and mystery in every single character, and we have this financial dispute, which is mounting, and we could see through these intense emotional episodes where these huge personalities are clashing together and interacting in different and surprising ways, how this is building up to be quite a story. Those are some of my initial and thought over impressions of part one of the great Brothers Karamazov. Please let me know how you're getting along with the book and what you thought of the first part. I'm already quite into part two, but I thought I should at least talk a little bit about the whole of part one. So those are my thoughts, and please leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching, and take care.